Are you playing something? Because I can't hear it.
You hear it? All right. Well, since we can't hear it, I was trying to play a clip last night. Rockets, Lakers. Lakers blew out the Rockets. James Harden was asked about it after the game. Welcome to Big Facts. I am your host, Aaron Barrison, along with Justin Everett. Justin, we have a lot to talk about today. A lot has happened since Saturday when we last did this podcast, first and foremost, and we'll get to basketball later in the episode. The Eagles fired Doug Peterson. Just, I'll start with you because I had time to go through this with our audience on, when did it happen? Monday. Went live on Monday for about 20 minutes. So your thoughts on everything we've discussed leading up to that and how you feel about it now, looking back on it a couple days later.
So you're feeling that Jeff decided to move on because Doug has lost this locker room. I don't disagree with. However, I place that blame at the feet of Jeff Lurie and Howie Roseman. Mm-hmm. They have exemplified over the past 2 seasons that they have absolutely zero faith in their head coach. They don't believe in him at all. They don't trust him at all. And eventually what that led into was the locker room moving that direction also, which I think is unfortunate. I mean, we all have to remember Doug Peterson won us a Super Bowl here. I don't want to hear about, well, Frank Reich was here. Doug Peterson was the head coach. He had a hand in getting us there. That's a good thing. The fallout of moving forward, I'm not ready to believe that Carson Wentz is still the answer here, especially with some of the names that are coming out. I don't want to hear about how Raheem Morris or San Francisco's defensive coordinator are going to rehab and repair and fix Carson Wentz. That's not why you bring that guy in. You bring that guy in because you're changing your philosophy of football in this town. And the philosophy it seems like they're going with is defense first, establish the run game, and hope that even if it's Carson Wentz, Jalen Hurts, Carson Wentz, whoever is behind center can efficiently get you through a dink and dunk, short play, low risk, high reward type of an offense is what it looks like they're going after to me. So, I mean, thank you, Doug, for all the memories and winning us a Super Bowl. That's a big deal. Surprised, but not surprised is about how I feel.
Yeah. So, we talked about this and I felt like, so, we go back to that Week 17 game, and I don't want to harp on the game because there was a lot leading up to that point. And a lot of that played into why Doug was fired. And I actually remember a report, Justin, at the beginning of the year, because the offense has been struggling for years now. This is not the first time the offense has struggled. This is the worst we've seen it because it's been, complicated by all the injuries that the Eagles have had as well. The fact that they have their wide receivers out, so on and so forth. But this offense realistically has been bad for a couple years. They were 6-7 2 years ago, had to win the last 3 games to get into the playoffs. They were 5-7 last year, had to win the last 4 games to get into the playoffs. And most of those struggles were on offense. Halfway through this year, they were averaging less than 5 points in the first half through 9 games or whenever it was that Jalen Hurts took over. So this is a buildup of everything. This is not like, oh, this offense sucked this year. Carson Wentz wasn't great this year. Now let's get rid of Doug. We've changed offensive coordinators. We've changed QB coaches.
Not by the want of the coach. They made him change offensive coordinators, which I don't know if you remember this. In 2016, the year before the Super Bowl, Jeff Lurie and Howie Roseman tried to fire Frank Reich, and Doug Peterson stopped them. So again, this is just a systemic shit. Always starts. Shit rolls downhill, and dysfunction always starts at the top.
So now, going back to this, apparently during this meeting, and there was rumors about this as well, Doug Peterson's plan was to hire Press Taylor as his offensive coordinator, a guy that's in the QB room every week with Carson Wentz, and we've seen a regression. And after that meeting with Jeff Lurie, Jeff was probably like, okay, so you want the guy in the QB room with the guy that I paid $35 million to now take control of this offense when I've seen nothing but regression from Carson Wentz. and he, coincides that with the offense probably regressing as well.
Yeah, but he leaves off the table that he decided to pay $35 million a year to a bad quarterback. That's not Doug Peterson's fault.
Yeah,
Doug Peterson won a Super Bowl. He did his job. And Howie and Jeff decided to give Carson Wentz $126 million. That's your fuck up. That's not my problem. That's why I don't have all these people yesterday. I got so many messages and comments yesterday about, do I feel like Doug Peterson went in too hot or went in wrong? And I said to everybody, I don't think he went in wrong at all. I think he sat in that room and he said, I don't believe Carson Wentz is the guy I can build this team around. And that sentence alone was enough for Jeff Lurie to tell him it's time to move on, because they have a $126 million mistake that they need to try to fix.
Yeah, and Philadelphia is kind of notorious. We talked about this too, and you had said this to me, I think, that you thought that this Doug Peterson situation could eventually turn into this Brett Brown situation where the team's kind of stagnant. You can tell the players don't really look up to or look into the coach the way they should. And, everybody can say this is 3 years ago, he just won the Super Bowl and this is too early. And Jeffrey Lurie's up there saying he didn't deserve to be fired. It was time for a change, and they could have waited a couple more years and drawn this thing out. I do believe it was the right time. And I just think that because I don't think the next 2 years were going to be any good for Doug Peterson in that
look, right? So I think we can all, with rational mindsets, feel this way. It was the right decision for the team, but it couldn't not look wrong. There was no way to twist the optic to not have, he's 3 years removed from a Super Bowl. Look at what he's done in the past. Why wouldn't he be given a bigger chance? Like, all those arguments are valid. I understand them. This was necessary for the future of the team. My problem here is not Doug Peterson moving on. I said it probably on the show dozens of times over the last 18 weeks that Doug needs to go. My problem is the same guys are making the decision on who to bring in next. And that, to me, tells me that there is, like, I'll tell you, I know Eric Bieniemy is the big name right now, right? Everybody thinks that he's the guy. And Mike Kafka, former Philadelphia Eagle, Kafka might be the next big OC in football. It could be. Or it could be that they play with they coach Patrick Mahomes, and he's just that fucking good.
And they're under Andy Reid, yeah.
Right. So I know that came out as the everybody wants Eric Bieniemy.
Yeah, sure.
And the first thought I had in mind, the first thing it came to me, man, 5 years ago, Eric Bieniemy was Doug Peterson. And we won a Super Bowl, but are we better off as a franchise? And I think the answer is easily no. Nationally, this city now, like, the level of shit the Sixers got for the tank is basically what this season has done to the Philadelphia Eagles on a national level. If you listen to national radio, if you watch national sports, you watch FS1 or Nick Wright, you watch some of these guys, bro. Yeah. The Eagles have lost all their clout. It's gone. It is gone to never come back. And this is, what the fuck do we do from here? Do they think Carson's fixable? And if that's the case, it's got to be a Mike Kafka, Bieniemy, Lincoln Riley type of guy. If you're not fixing Carson Wentz and you're going to Jalen Hurts, now you can look at defensive coordinators and brilliant defensive minds, because your offense is going to change anyway. But I don't know how you don't go after the guru of quarterbacks or offensive gurus if you're going to try to fix Carson Wentz. And I don't want Eric Bieniemy. So I don't know where you go. I know that you said something egregious to me last night. So why don't you talk to me about some of our candidates?
Well, first of all, I want to point this out too before we move on to that. And it wasn't egregious. The optics of this coaching situation are bad. So you're trying to draw the best candidate that you can. There's a Jaguars job and a Jets job. Although they're awful franchises, they have the first and second pick in the draft, and they have a lot of cap room, and they have tools they can wheel and deal. So those jobs right now, unfortunately, Jacksonville and the Jets are better looking to a lot of coaches than the Eagles.
Jacksonville has good young talent in a couple positions.
They do. So the Eagles right now look like a team that won the Super Bowl, built a statue of their backup, is $50 million over the cap space, has overpaid a quarterback who hasn't performed anywhere near the bottom of the league of contracts. Okay. They have a QB sitting behind him from Oklahoma that the whole city's yelling to get in these games. And they have a general manager that everyone knows has control of personnel, which is not giving any to the coach. So
and can't spell quarterback.
some coach has to come into this situation knowing that, well, I'm just going to take whatever the fuck they give me and I'm going to try to work some magic and make this happen. And hopefully I'm up for another head coaching job after this. And also, Justin, 3 coaches in 7 years, in the last 7 years. So one with the Super Bowl, you fired him 3 years later. Now you want me to step into this job over the cap with a quarterback who appears to be broken.
Aaron, talk to me about the candidates.
So first and foremost, let's go to the ones that we both like and then the ones we disagree with.
All right.
Robert Saleh, the 49ers defensive coordinator. If you're trying to move in the direction that I think everybody thinks that we should move at this point, which is defense and running the football with Miles Sanders and having Boston Scott in the backfield for, some receptions, being your scat back, kind of like Darren Sproles was. I think he's the perfect fit. Now, in San Francisco, Justin, last year, as we know, I think they were second in total defense. This year, they had injuries across the board all season long. They still finished as a top 10 defense. And not only that, they lost DeForest Buckner went to the Colts, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So that was like their all-pro defensive tackle. So regardless of all of that, they still ended up with a top 10 defense. And when you watch those guys play, Justin, and you watch San Francisco, the most exciting part about that team is how hard those guys play for the defensive coordinator over there.
For sure. So I agree with almost everything that you said. Boston Scott can't be on this roster next season. We have to be done with this. We have to be over this. We have to stop thinking that Greg Ward is going to help us win. We have to stop thinking that Boston Scott is a power back or a receiving back, because you already have that guy. Your receiving back is Miles Sanders. He is a scat back. He is a poor man's Alvin Kamara. Maybe really poor man, but that is his natural skill set is similar. He's just not close to as good at it. The reason why I think you bring a guy like this in is because of a cultural change. There's something that defensive coaches provide that offensive coaches have never been able to. And it is a level of die for me and play for me that not a lot of people get out of people, right? I've been to a handful of different franchise stores in the car industry. I have built some pretty amazing sales staffs. When I leave, it blows up. I'm a person that usually can inspire out of people. They want to work because I show them the keys to the kingdom. Defensive coaches usually almost always have that, right? Like maybe Rob and Rex Ryan, maybe they didn't really. But like other than that, I mean, even Matt Patricia. Detroit
Rex Ryan for a couple years. Let's not. I mean, we can trash him for the last couple and what he does commentating, but he took Mark Sanchez to the AFC conference.
Right. And look, these defensive guys, bro. That team does. I agree with you 100%. They go out and die for that coach, and I think that is the direction they should look. I love the idea of Lincoln Riley. I know that it's impossible, but I don't love anybody else past Lincoln Riley. So if I have to fall back on one of these guys, he is probably my first choice.
So 2 other candidates, and I'm going to move past the Bills offensive coordinator just because if you've watched the Buffalo Bills this year, I'm impressed with them, but I think Josh Allen is so good that he can overcall play calling, and I don't think that like they have an established
Mahomes factor, right?
Yeah,
it's like you can't give Andy Reid all the credit of what he's now accomplished because Patrick Mahomes is just that good.
Yeah, and Josh Allen's improvement has way more to do with what he did in the offseason than the script that the offensive coordinator is calling. They can't establish a run game over there either.
For sure.
Interesting candidate, Titans offensive coordinator Arthur Smith.
All right, now, do you want to tell people what you said verbatim, or shall I bring up the receipts and read it exactly?
Well, what he's done with Ryan Tannehill, it can't be questioned. They're 18-8 since Tannehill's taken over.
I have a text message from Aaron Barrison that reads, he's done wonders reviving Tannehill.
Yeah.
And this comes back to a core principle argument that I don't know you'll ever understand, because maybe we just see things differently.
Obviously.
If Ryan Tannehill were replaced with 12 of the quarterbacks in the National Football League, and I don't mean 1 through 12, I mean like 10 through 22. If Ryan Tannehill were replaced with any of those quarterbacks, Tennessee has an equal chance of being as successful as they were this season with any one of those quarterbacks. If Derrick Henry goes down and Ryan Tannehill is the leader of this team, they struggle to be a 500 football team. Ryan Tannehill is not what I want my $35 million quarterback to aspire to. Ryan Fitzpatrick is not what I want my second overall draft pick to aspire to. And those guys, while I will give you right now today, Tannehill is better than Fitzpatrick. Fitzpatrick's 40 years old. That is the type of Alex Smith. They look really good some days. There's sometimes they can't miss. They go 27 for 30. But 15 out of the 16 games, you're lucky to get 55% completion percentage and an interception every game. Ryan Tannehill is not a great quarterback.
Okay, so let's break this down a little bit, because you made a point.
Thank God the voice.
Oh my God, he agrees with you.
Corey,
you got an agreement.
He's understand me. Listen, I'm not saying that your guy cannot make a franchise quarterback, because I'm going to agree. I think that Tannehill got to the level of good he is probably out of that guy's head. But that guy doesn't know greatness. And if it's going to be Carson here, you need Bill Belichick level greatness.
Yeah, so let's the reason I like him is not because I think that that's a guy that's going to come in here and make Carson Wentz an MVP candidate. I think it's a guy that's going to come in here and establish the run and be able to utilize Carson's tools to play off it. To be honest with you, Justin, I don't think there's going to be anybody that's going to be able to come in here and make Carson Wentz what he was in 2017, because he's just not the same player. He doesn't move. I don't think
they have the roster to. They need to build an offense that works off of the play action like the Rams do, and they can't do it.
Let me defend Tannehill for a second, because I'm not.
Oh, why, man? Why?
Well, the comparison with Fitzpatrick's bad, but give me a couple minutes here, because
oh my God,
the Titans were mostly a mess.
I don't care.
Would you agree with Marcus Mariota? They were mostly a mess. So Tannehill comes in here after being a backup, comes from Miami, was a top 10 pick, had high expectations, had a couple injuries, went to the bench in Tennessee. Justin, the only QB with more, first of all, is deep ball. He's just elevated his game.
Christ almighty. I don't think you're understanding me. Before you can
finish, because I let you ramble about how bad he was. Let me
finish. Does it happen without Derrick Henry? Do all the stats you're about to give me happen without the best running back in the league?
Well, I'm glad that you brought that up, because there was several games this year, Justin, where Derrick Henry had awful games and Ryan Tannehill actually went out there and won the game for him. There's only been a couple games this year where Derrick Henry's rushed under 100 yards. I mean, let me tell you what they were. Week 2, Derrick Henry, 84 yards total. They won 33-30.
Against who? Whoa, against who?
Jacksonville. I got some better.
Come on.
But they scored 33 points. Week 5 versus Buffalo, he had 57 yards. They won 42-16. Week 9, he had 68 yards. They beat Chicago 24-17. He had no touchdowns. Week 13, lost to Cleveland. They put up 35 points. Derrick Henry had 60 yards and no touchdowns. So we're sitting here.
What are Ryan Tannehill's stats for those games?
Well, obviously, if they're putting up 42 and 35 points and Derrick Henry had no touchdowns, he probably threw for somewhere around 250 yards, 3 or 4 touchdowns. That's what he does.
And how many interceptions?
He was bottom 5 in the league this year.
And how many pass attempts? What was his completion percentage in those games? See, this is what I'm talking about. You want to point out the fact that Derrick Henry.
I have those for you if you let me finish. I have them for you if you let me finish.
Come on.
65% completions this year. 7th in TD passes, tied with Deshaun Watson. 5th in QB rating, tied with Josh Allen. Okay, so we're sitting here and we're gonna trash Derrick. Ryan Tannehill and say he's not a franchise quarterback. He's competing with Josh Allen and Watson's numbers. He has Derrick Henry. He's not the same QB as Josh Allen and Deshaun Watson are. But to say that he's not a franchise quarterback is
Bro, are you ready? Here's how I'm going to tell you, right? Deshaun Watson just had a 4,000-yard year with 35 touchdowns, something like that, right?
not comparing him to Deshaun.
Hold up, stop. Deshaun Watson did that, right?
Yeah.
With nothing around him, right? So if you remove Derrick Henry from Tennessee, he's
a 500 football team.
Right, and Ryan Tannehill's numbers plummet because he doesn't have Derrick Henry to play off of. That's not a franchise quarterback. Ben Roethlisberger is a franchise quarterback without Le'Veon Bell, won a title, has had a competitive team.
They have the same playoff success as Tennessee does without running backs. I mean,
because of Ben Roethlisberger, not Derrick Henry. Peyton Manning didn't have a guy there with him.
Talking about elite guys, not.
How about Eli Manning? Eli Manning never had. He had Brandon Jacobs.
He had a phenomenal defense. We're not going to talk about Eli Manning like he was not throwing 20 interceptions last year.
So Tennessee had a great defense last year, which is what everybody played for this year. So we'll see how Tennessee is next year. The point being, if you remove Derrick Henry, Ryan Tannehill is a bottom 5 quarterback. If you remove Ryan Tannehill, Derrick Henry still runs for 2,000 yards. That's your franchise player.
I know who the franchise player is. I'm not arguing with you about that. But he's not
a quarterback, a franchise quarterback.
He's not a bottom 5 quarterback. He's not a bottom 5 quarterback.
Without elite talent, he is. What was he in Miami? He was a bottom 5 quarterback.
He was injured with no skill guys.
Fucking break, dude.
So this week coming up, we got the Rams in Green Bay, Baltimore, Buffalo, Cleveland, KC, Tampa Bay, New Orleans.
Rams, Green Bay, go back.
Baltimore, Buffalo.
Yep.
Those are the 2 games for Saturday, and then we'll
pick those now. I'm gonna let you go first, and you pick which game you want to pick first.
I'm gonna say this. I think that this week the Baltimore Ravens are going to upset the Buffalo Bills.
Oh, Jesus Christ almighty. I knew we were going to get something done.
I have a feeling about it. I think the defense is playing out of their minds. Lamar Jackson won a playoff game last week. He got the monkey off his back. Josh Allen is due for a down week. You laughed at me, but they won last week. This is the same thing you did last week when I picked Baltimore. You were so convinced they were going to lose.
No. Stop. Listen.
You did. You laughed.
The only way that Baltimore would have won this week is if Ryan Tannehill was a real franchise quarterback and won. So Buffalo there's no way Buffalo loses this game. Let me tell you something right now, bro. If you watched that game last week, the meetings all week this week were very simple to Josh Allen and that team. Look at how many fucking chances you had to keep your foot on the gas and kill him, and you didn't. You let him hang around
for 3 quarters.
You let them hang around. You let them be in the game. You can't do that with Baltimore. Listen, bro. What is the line on this game? Do you know?
No, I don't yet.
So Buffalo wins this game by 7 or more. This is Josh Allen's year of coming out and saying Aaron Rodgers is old. Drew Brees is old. Tom Brady is old. I am the guy of this league now. This is Josh Allen's coming out.
He's still got to play Pat Mahomes. He's still got to go.
He's probably going to lose to Pat Mahomes. I'm not taking that away from you, but I'm saying Patrick Mahomes is Tom Brady now, and this is Aaron Rodgers is Josh Allen. That's all I'm saying. There's no way they lose this game.
All right, so you got Buffalo, I got Baltimore, and then Green Bay and LA. Let me tell you something about this game. This is.
Are you? I thought about picking LA. You can't pick LA, are you?
I'm not picking LA because it's hard. I can't trust Goff, but I'm going to tell you that this is a bad matchup for Green Bay. We said last week that the Colts were a bad matchup for the Bills, and they were. They won 3 quarters of that football game, and Josh Allen was able to overcome it. LA is a bad matchup for Green Bay, and I'll tell you why. They don't have their starting left tackle in Green Bay. Bakhtiari's out for the year. and you got to face that Rams defensive line with Aaron Donald and company on the Secondly, you got one great wide receiver on the Packers, and Jalen Ramsey is as shut down a corner as they come. So if you can find a way to contain Devontae Adams, and the Rams can find the key to this game is the Rams finding a way to score some points with Jared Goff. Their backup QB got knocked out of the game. Jared Goff had to come in with a broken thumb. Can they score enough points? Can they play good enough defense in Lambeau to beat the Packers? I don't think they can, but I do think this is going to be a 3.4-point game. I'm taking Green Bay, though.
So I picked my brackets, got Green Bay and New Orleans playing for the NFC title.
Okay.
I can't imagine a world that exists where LA doesn't just get destroyed. This feels like we said it all year, right? Like Aaron Rodgers wasn't blowing out bad opponents all year. They just weren't doing it. So that's why the big lines Green Bay never covered. I feel like this one is going to be this is good. Aaron Rodgers is he's got to win another. He has to outdo Favre. He needs to win another championship. He's got to do it for himself. They drafted a quarterback in the first round this year. He's on a fucking mission. You can see it when you watch him play.
Yeah, it's easy for him this year. It looks easy.
Yeah. I mean, Green Bay wins this game. I think by probably double digits. I think the Rams are going to look good early, and they're going to give them some problems like Tampa Bay did a couple of weeks back. I think it was mid-season. Tampa Bay played Green Bay, and then Green Bay came out and just destroyed them. This feels like that game to me.
It's going to be interesting to see because we've talked about Devontae Adams, and we've had him in the conversation as the top two sometimes, and some weeks we're like he might be the best receiver in the league. It's going to be interesting to see that matchup with Jalen Ramsey over there with the Rams and how Aaron Donald kind of affects the game up front. Should be a good game. Hope the Packers can pull it off. I would like to see Aaron Rodgers this year do something special and maybe win something that he's not supposed to win this year with the way the Kansas City Chiefs have been playing. By the way, we'll talk about this Sunday, but someone told me that the Cleveland game was a 9-point line with Kansas City, which is a huge line considering that. That's a huge line considering that Kansas City hasn't blown anybody out in.
And Cleveland just put up 40 points with nobody.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. They'll get the coach back, get the players back. We'll talk about that on Sunday. Let's take a quick break, and we'll be back with some.
Bro, we're short on time. Do you need a break? Do you want to just roll through? We're short on time.
60 seconds.
All right, bro. Go ahead.
All right.
I'm going to pull you out, and I'm just going to keep talking.
Okay, so let's talk some.
Hey, I need to know what that James Harden video you were playing said because we couldn't hear it.
Basically, they got blown out by the Lakers last night
because they fucking suck, and James Harden is a fat, lazy piece of shit. Continue.
It was never close. He just seems done. He said they weren't good enough. The chemistry's not there. The talent's not there. That's the championship team. They're nowhere near them. They're not even close. And basically just saying, that's, his teammates kind of came in the defense of the team, but he's trying to get traded, man, just like Tori just said. And somebody's going to get him, and it's going to be scary, whoever does, because he's going to go to a contender. I wouldn't be surprised. By the way, let's talk about this. To kind of branch off. So wouldn't it be interesting right now if for some reason the Rockets contacted the Nets and said, we'll take Kyrie and some of your guys and we'll give you James Harden. Kyrie has been absent from the team with no explanation up until a couple days ago.
Kyrie might be done with basketball as a whole, bro.
I think we are 6 months away from Kyrie retiring from basketball, stating some reason that has to do with whether it's social justice or personal reasons, or he just doesn't want to play anymore.
Listen, Kyrie Irving has got to be the most frustrating waste of talent I've ever seen in my life. Kyrie Irving is such a fucking rube, bro. He's just a head case, dude. When you have somebody who's that stupid, he's just dumb. First of all, you're getting paid millions of dollars to accomplish a job, and your job is a fucking game. Go play it. You don't have to go sit in your office across the street from the Capitol where they were just breaking in and be scared. The motherfucker, you live in Brooklyn. Come on, man.
And it's not like football where, some of these guys retire early for fear of like health repercussions if they keep playing, because some of these guys are going to have CTE by the time they're 26. This is basketball. I don't understand it. Someone compared him the other day just to Stephon Marbury, and I thought it was a good. He did just compare himself to Lauryn Hill, but Lauryn Hill's sane.
That's a good. Stephon Marbury is a good one.
A good comparison. So the Sixers last night. James is going to force his way out. The Sixers last night, first of all, just Embiid.
Monster.
I'm going positive.
Oh,
first.
Cool. All right, we can argue about Ben at the end. Go ahead.
So Ben fouled. Danny Green was on fire last night. Ben fouled out with 4 or 5 minutes left. They were down 3 with 40 seconds left or so. And Joel Embiid basically put this whole team on his shoulders, hit a couple jumpers, went into overtime, took a lead. Basically just, I think he had 43 points, 16 rebounds just. And, Bam Adebayo was out. Jimmy Butler was out.
That doesn't matter.
Gordon Dragic was out. But at the end of the day, most of that game, Olynyk was probably going to be guarding Joel regardless. And he seems to dominate at this point at will when he gets the ball. MVP talk is really starting. Him and Jokic are actually having monster years. His chances, if he continues to play like this, I would think are sky high, because if he plays like this, the Sixers will finish first or second in the East, and then we will be talking about Joel as MVP.
Yeah, so I'll talk about the positive, and since I am the rationally minded of the Ben Simmons talk, I'll start the positive towards your negative. So first of all, Joel Embiid is the most dominant scorer in the National Basketball Association when he decides to be. If you watch that game last night, he wanted every single time he touched that ball, he wanted that ball and he wanted to score. And you could feel it. I don't know that it's too early to talk about MVP, but when I look at what Nikola Jokic provides for a team that's probably going to be the 5th or 6th seed, what Joel Embiid provides for what should be the 1 or 2 seed, there's no doubt in my mind he's going to be up there, and he'll be deserving. And for Joe, I think that'll be a nice recognition of the work that he's put in this year, because he really has. Watching him throughout a game, I mean, look at him in overtime, bro. Last year, the year before, he'd have been so winded,
so tired.
He wouldn't have been able to play, and he put in a couple in overtime. So he's playing great. Now let's talk about Ben. All right. 2 shots and 6 points is not a good night, right? Nobody disagrees. It's not a good night when you look at it that simply. You add the 12 assists in, and you go, oh, who is this, Lonzo Ball or Draymond Green? But then, you know what I mean? So, listen, if James Harden were on the floor last night and not Ben Simmons, I can say this unequivocally, they lose that game. James Harden is not going to provide you with what Ben did, because Ben's 12 assists in Ben's game are a big part of what led to 40 plus from Embiid, about what led to Danny Green's night. Ben Simmons is the guy that it works through. And if you lose that for scoring, but you take 10 points off Embiid, you take half of Danny Green's points away, Ty Maxey's not going to have the ball in his hands nearly as much as he did because James Harden will be on the floor. You take all that shit away, and it gives you a less chance of winning. So all I'm saying to you is James Harden is 31 years old and hates his life. He wants out. I get it. Not for my 25-year-old elite level point guard. Not going to happen. No, I can't.
So my problem with what you said is I think if the Heat had a full roster and Jimmy Butler was there and Dragic was there and Bam was there, I think you can make a case for Ben's 12 assists being a great thing. Last night, the only guys on they have the same issues that we have right now with COVID and everything. The only guys that they had on the perimeter last night that were even capable of guarding Ben Simmons were Andre Iguodala, who's 36 and played 22 minutes, Duncan Robinson, and Tyler Hero. So if I'm looking at this game and Jimmy Butler's been on Ben Simmons or Bam has been covering him for some because they're kind of the same size, even though Ben's a little bit faster, I can give Ben a little bit of credit for being a distributor and not someone going into the paint. But when you have a 6'11" guy that's being guarded by very small guards and he takes 2 shots all game and Danny Green goes and hits 9 threes. I mean, anybody could have assisted Danny Green last night. Let's be honest.
No, come on.
Anybody could have passed the ball to Danny Green last night. He was hitting everything.
Bro, Danny Green wasn't catching a pass and dribble stepping and shooting. He was catching and shooting. Where you get that pass to your
I understand, but that's what an NBA point guard does.
Oh, come on, bro. Stop it. Shut the fuck up. That's not what an NBA. You mean to tell me every NBA point guard can put the ball in optimal shooting space through a pass to his fucking 35-year-old wing player? Stop.
No, but if somebody's open, you hit the guy where he wants to be hit. There's a lot of guys in the league that can do that.
How many of Danny Green shots weren't wide open?
Ben Simmons
is placed in the right spot.
Listen, I'm not disagreeing with you. Ben Simmons is a top 3 passer in the NBA. He is. He's going to be for the rest of his career. He might be the best.
Who the fuck do you put above him?
LeBron, Luka. I mean, Ben is probably
Ben are the same player. What?
Ben is probably 2. I'm saying he's a top 3, but I'll put LeBron ahead of him because LeBron's the best passer in the league and has been since he stepped on the
best passer that's ever breathed oxygen. Like that's like, I get it.
So if you want
to, this is what I'm saying to you. I understand that you need Ben Simmons to be more. I am with you, and I also am not opposed to the idea of trading him away for some asset because I'm also in agreement with you that in a couple of years when this contract's up, he's not coming back. He wants to go to LA. I get it. And he's probably going to go to LA to go play with Bronny because they'll find a way to get him and LeBron. I know, I get the optic. I see the writing on the wall. I understand. But why the fuck would you pull the trigger on an aging, lazy, out of shape, miserable, shitty attitude guard in James Harden? Look at what is happening with Kyrie Irving right now. And he has Kevin Durant on that team. We don't have Kevin Durant.
Let me ask you this: as far let's just pretend deals in the NBA are made straight up. I was going to bring up Zach LaVine and I was going to bring up Bradley Beal, right? I don't think right now. I think LaVine's trajectory. We've talked about this. You disagree? I think his trajectory is he's not even at his potential yet, and he's scoring 25 points a game on a bad Bulls team. Given, but Bradley Beal is also scoring 30 points a game on a bad Wizards team. I think we both agree that we would trade straight up if it happened right now, Ben Simmons for Bradley Beal, but I'm not sure if we would both trade Ben Simmons for Zach LaVine.
So the reason why I can't go the Zach LaVine route is the same reason why I couldn't go to a Kevin Durant route, right? Like if that were made up in some world that we could get KD for Ben, the answer is yes, right? But then systematically and scheme-wise on this team, it wouldn't work. I go Bradley Beal because I have Ty Maxey, who is a combo guard that can play the point and the 2. I have Seth Curry, who's kind of a combo guard, can play the 1 and the 2. If I get rid of Ben Simmons, I can't bring Zach LaVine because Zach LaVine is not a guy that runs a floor. Bradley Beal gives me that capability. So if my 19-year-old is struggling, I have Bradley Beal, and I don't have to take him off the floor for Seth Curry to sacrifice minutes and production for the young guy. So Bradley Beal is just I don't want to use the term more versatile player. Zach LaVine is going to be an animal in this. He's probably going to score 30 points a game at some point in the next five years. He's going to be phenomenal.
Yeah.
But he doesn't give you that like Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant does not give you a setup offense. The setup is Kevin Durant gets the ball. That's what Zach LaVine's going to be.
Yeah, I think it still works, but again, there is a big void if you bring in this is hypothetical, it would never happen, but like we're talking about Kevin Durant, I would trade almost anyone except for Embiid at this point for Kevin Durant, even Simmons, and find a way to bring in a point guard. But that's nor here nor there. They do need a point guard if they get rid of Ben Simmons.
And not bring a guy like Bradley Beal. That's the point.
Yeah, so, we'll see how that plays out. The Wizards are performing horribly, so he might force his way. This guy, man, has been – it's weird. It doesn't even look like he can score like that, but he's having 40, 50-point games on a regular basis, and they're losing every single one. I mean, the guy scored 50 or 63 times last year. They lost every one. He did it again.
And Russell Westbrook is averaging a triple-double right next to him, still losing.
they're 1-6 with Westbrook on the floor right now. It's unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it. So we'll see what happens with the NBA. We'll see what happens with the Eagles coaching search. It looks like just from what I've been reading that Robert Saleh has had his second interview with the Jets, and it looks like he's leaning towards that. That's going to be interesting because it's going to be interesting to see what they do with Sam Darnold if they bring in a defensive head coach. There's going to be a lot of quarterback carousel this
offseason. I got to tell you something, bro. If you bring in a defensive coach as the New York Jets, you're probably not going forward with Sam Darnold.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
You almost can't. You bring in Eric Bieniemy to revive Sam Darnold, and you're going to use that second pick on need, like Devonta Smith, to go with Sam Darnold. Yeah. You almost have to bring in like a Bieniemy type.
And good transition, because last thing I'm going to ask you before we get out of here, we watched the college national championship. Devonta Smith had 215 yards and 3 touchdowns in the first half, but then got hurt. And I want to tell you something, Just. We talk about him versus Jamar Chase. He looks to me like Deshaun Jackson. That's a better route runner. And, I mean, he's a Heisman winner, right? Deshaun Jackson wasn't a Heisman Trophy kid.
It reminds me of Antonio Brown.
Okay, that's a fair comparison. But my problem is he came out for a little bit in that Clemson game and looked hurt after he got hit. And now this game, he sat basically the whole second half because he got hurt. Now, there's no doubt in my mind that when I watch these guys, the game breaker and the guy I want on the Eagles is Devonta Smith. But we've talked about this for the Eagles, for what they have, and for him being 175 pounds and having to build into a frame. It's a safer pick to take Jamar Chase, but it seems you have more upside with Devonta Smith. What do you think?
So I don't agree with more upside with Devonta Smith. So here's how I'm gonna explain this, and this is gonna piss off a lot of people. Not with actual production, because I don't care where Devonta Smith goes, he's going to be productive.
Yeah.
Jamar Chase versus the Devonta Smith is quite literally Justin Jefferson and Jalen Reagor. Devonta Smith is the guy that has potential to accomplish. There's stuff there he can get better at. There's things that he can learn that he doesn't know because he does rely not solely but almost on his speed. When his route running gets better, he's going to be even better. Deshaun Jackson, right? Tyreek Hill, Antonio Brown. That's how those guys develop. Jamar Chase is Justin Jefferson. Jamar Chase is, I am going to put my helmet on for the first play of my first game and catch everything in my radius. That is what Jamar Chase is. He is a athletic freak for his size. He plays like he's 6'4", and he's not.
Yeah.
He is you have Jalen Reagor. You already got your speed guy.
And Quez
Watkins. And even you could make the argument for John Hightower. You've already got that covered. You now need to replace Alshon. You replaced Torrey Smith. You got that done. Now you need to put Alshon on the other side of the field. That is what you won with in 2017. Big physical possession. Give me the football receiver with speed on the other side. And that's what they need to replicate. So Jamar Chase, Torrey said it, Jamar Chase is the right choice. Devonta Smith wouldn't be bad. He's going to produce here, but it's going to make your offense very monotone. There's not going to be a lot of depth to it. There's not going to be a lot of difference play-by-play, and it's going to create a more beatable Eagles team. So it would be a mistake, in my opinion, to draft Smith. Did I lose you, Skip? He all the way frozen. I don't know if y'all can hear me or hear him. I don't know what's going on right now. He's all gone. I can't hear you, AA Ron. Yep, he jumped out. I'm going to give him a second, guys. We'll see if he comes back up. Yeah, his screen's frozen, Tori. But yeah, no, bro, for real. Like, you can't. And you didn't miss out on Jefferson. I mean, they made it clear what their plan was. They really wanted to draft a speed guy that they could develop. And they're not wrong. I mean, Rager had the worst situation to spend his rookie season in. But Jalen Rager is going to develop into a good receiver. He's always going to be a number 2. He's never going to be a 1. Like, there's only one Tyreek Hill. But Justin Jefferson was in win now. And I genuinely, dude, I don't believe that they had any thought that they were going to compete for a title this year. And they're on asset mode, man. But they can't tank like the Sixers did for years. I imagine this cat's coming back in. I don't know if he lost all his internet or what. All right, man. Well, I'm just going to – yeah, his internet went out. All right, y'all. I'm just going to wrap up, Tori. Everybody will always be looking for the next hill, bro. So I'm going to wrap up, guys. Thanks for joining us this week. AA Ron, I'm sure, would say the same, but he lost his internet at his crib. I don't want to hear any more James Harden. I know Aaron is going to talk about it for weeks until he either gets traded somewhere else or everything gets made better. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't need James Harden in my life. It's not a guy I want. I'm super interested in Bradley Beal. I think he's a guy that could help this team out. Aaron says that Baltimore upsets Buffalo this week. We're not going to talk to you guys till Sunday. So Aaron takes Baltimore, and we both take Green Bay. And obviously, I took Ration, and I'm taking Buffalo. So I'm excited to see what the next round of playoffs does. We'll keep an eye out on Eagles head coaching stuff, see who comes to interview, see who they talk to, and we'll keep you guys updated. We appreciate you joining us as always. Big Facts on all streaming platforms. You've got me on Instagram and Twitter and all those places. Justin at Big Facts. Aaron's out there. That boy AB. Follow us, like us, share our stuff, and we'll see you guys on Sunday.